Winning is better than losing. Winning feels good. Winning is celebrated. Even from a young age, we get it. Everyone wants to win. It's almost primal.
Nothing, he does it and he just stands up! Ice cold! But for it to happen that way for Guardian.
But losing is far more significant than that. A crushing loss stays with you forever. It can pierce through your self-image and reveal who you really are. And we're not always ready to accept that. You weren't ready yet. You weren't good enough. You missed your best chance ever. Today we're going to talk about losing, how it might be even more important than winning, and the kind of power that a loss can have to change someone forever. Sure, I'm going to use some examples, and you might have already caught them. Ooh, foreshadowing. So grab a drink, get cozy, and let's talk about why losing is so important. So winning undeniably feels good. And some people even make it look easy. I'm not going to make the argument in this video that winning is easy because obviously it isn't. But winning can create some unrealistic expectations. Because if people see you winning and it looks easy for you, well, they're going to expect you to go on keep doing it. And in 2017, Victor Punk Woodley just couldn't seem to stop winning.
Punk is
the best. He's the best right now. He's the best.
For most of 2017, it felt like Punk was unstoppable.
Oh, an overhead, and that should be it.
The handshake already.
Oh, and Knuckle Dude goes down to PG's Punk. Punk, your 2017 NCR champion. Make some noise, ladies and gentlemen.
And while there were plenty of people who wanted to see an American finally lift the EVO trophy, one of Punk's defining and sometimes divisive traits was his calm self-confidence and willingness to talk shit.
He liked to talk a lot of trash about me, and I gotta put the kids in their place. But, you know, I had to teabag him. I gotta show him who's the alpha.
I cooked you. What was the score? Like 10-3? Send me a picture of yours. That's all I'm gonna say. Send me a picture of yours. When you can do that, then you can ask for a money match. Win a major and then ask me for a money match.
Why did you pick Nikali?
Because I could beat him with any character.
Alright.
It's not like Punk won every tournament in 2017, but he won a lot of them. Plus, he was talking mad shit, and it looked like no one could consistently challenge him.
Punk is probably the best player in the world. That's my thought. I would be very surprised if he was not in top 8.
I guess what I'm saying is it seemed like Punk was supposed to attend his first EVO and he was supposed to win. I mean, how else could the narrative end?
The V reversal again. Punk in trouble still. There's so much offense from Tokido.
Oh, he got under. That's it. He should be able to confirm into the critical art. And there it is. Punk is going to take it over Tokido and advance over onto the winner's side. Top 8.
Everybody was so curious. The first EVO he has attended, will he be ready? It's a whole other beast. He proved his point, showed why so many people think that he is the best.
I actually put Tokido in the losers bracket. He didn't just appear there magically in losers. It was me.
I pointed out this moment specifically because, as you've probably guessed by now, Punk did not win this tournament, and the person who did was not slated as a favorite going in. The set was extremely exciting, but Punk couldn't figure out Tokido's Akuma in the Grand Finals rematch.
I don't think America even had one Akuma player back then to prepare. And like, Tokido is not someone you were preparing for back then because he wasn't doing so good with Akuma the whole year until EVO. This is when he started doing good. Then after EVO, he just started dominating.
Oh, we made the throw. That's it. That's it. Tokido is the Evolution 2017 champion, coming all the way from losers bracket. He's done it.
Now, maybe in hindsight, Punk can look back on this set and have a good laugh. I think that's why pros reacting to their previous lost games can be so compelling. You get some of what they thought at the time, but you also see some of the growth. And part of that growth is the loss itself. A lot of the time when we ask pros, especially in individual disciplines like FGC or RTS, about how best to learn and improve, we get the same answer. You need to manage your ability to lose.
My best piece of advice is probably learn how to lose.
when you learn from losing, because even in the beginning when I used to play Street Fighter 5 a lot, I mean, I used to lose a lot as well. So if you take your losses and like turn them into like learning experience or like notes that you can like take advantage of, I definitely think it helps when learning fighting it.
But before the learning comes the pain. Standing on that stage, Punk looked shattered. And here's the thing I want to point out about this loss. I think there were people who needed to see Punk humbled to even consider supporting him. There were fans who had to see on a stage like that, not how he won, but how he lost. And to be clear, I don't think it's as simple as saying that most people were invested in him losing, like they were cheering against him or something. That does happen sometimes, but I think this was different. And of course, I'd be lying if I said that Punk completely stopped saying wild shit.
I won more tournaments than your whole team combined in 1 year.
It does not matter, homie.
In 1 year.
It doesn't matter.
My worst year was better than your whole team's best years.
It does not matter.
Kinda do.
I mean, we'll see about that.
Kinda do.
We'll see about that.
Obviously, you might still prefer other players, but Punk's status as an unstoppable villain couldn't fully survive contact with a loss on the biggest stage in fighting games. And I don't know, there's just something really interesting about that to me. That loss made Punk more likable to a lot of people. He was suddenly relatable, even humble at times. Losing changed him. But I want to talk about another esports pro whose loss didn't just change his life, it changed the life of another player entirely. In 2017, Faker was undoubtedly the biggest name in esports. He was a 3-time world champion and has single-handedly changed League of Legends forever. Sure, he hadn't won every year, just most of them. And on paper, his new roster could have an even higher ceiling than previous lineups. Instead, SKT fans were treated to a roller coaster of a year that ended at the grand finals at Worlds in one of the most iconic losses in esports.
Ruler on the Nexus. The upset is complete as the kills come through. The SKT dynasty is over. All hail the new kings. Samsung Galaxy, your 2017 world champions.
Whatever happens to esports, whether they go on for hundreds of years or die wrapped in a G Fuel soaked 100 Thieves hoodie, this moment is history. It has been immortalized, and it was a pebble cast into a pond. For Faker, it was the beginning of a very long journey, one where by the next time he stepped onto the stage for World's Grand Finals, he was a far different player. After another attempt at a super team in 2019, SKT tore the roster down to the bare bones and rebuilt it around Faker. That meant Faker shifted his own place on the team around while he passed on what he had learned to a new batch of T1 players. Like, yeah, it was basically that Ninja Turtles meme. Faker became the team's general. He hung up his identity as the superstar mechanical god and became a leader to his younger teammates. But this was a long process. Faker won 3 world championships in a 4-year span. But after 2017, he didn't make a World's Grand Final for another 5 years. By the time he did, a whole new generation of pro players had emerged, and some of them even cited his 2017 loss as inspiration.
그때 좀 엄청 인상 깊었던 것 같고 꼭 내가 나중에 프로가 되면 진짜 다 이겨야겠다 그런 생각을 하게 된 것 같아요, 그 장면을 보고.
This guy was built to play League of Legends, and it didn't seem like he was going to be the guy that was going to be capable of leading the team, but he absolutely was. And seeing that sort of development from a player that has had the most pressure on him throughout his entire career. Ever since he started playing, he was a superstar. And having to carry that for this amount of time without it breaking your back is absurd.
And the team of young players around Faker in 2022 was the eventual result of that 2017 loss. Unfortunately, those players wouldn't get to fill their early careers with Worlds Championships like Faker did. Instead, they had to deal with losing the best World's Grand Final series ever.
Kingen goes to the world ender. Kumayushi is dead. They have been doubted. They have been discounted. They have been dismissed. But DRX are your 2022 world champions.
Keria, considered by many to be the best player in the world at the time, despite the fact that he plays support, struggled to deal with the loss on stage. After the broadcast, the community raised questions about whether the camera lingered on his anguish a bit too long. And I think that there are some fair criticisms there.
Whatever, I get it. You show the ups and you show the downs. You think you might have showed it for 3 seconds too early? You dumb, or 3 seconds too long, you dumbass.
If anything, I think the fact that this came up at all speaks to how sensitively and maybe reverently we think about loss and its potential to change people. But I want to talk about how, while both Faker and Keria broke down after their respective losses, their tears represent some pretty different things. Faker's tears in 2017 were the lamentations of someone who had been here before several times and knew what he had to do to win. Instead, an entire year's worth of work was swept away in a 3-0 series. But Keria never even got that first victory. His tears in 2022 were yearning for something that Faker already had, but that narrowly eluded T1 this time, the ultimate win. I have a sneaking suspicion that we will see Keria on that stage again. And if we do, and he does lift the trophy, those tears from 2022 will be reflected in the eyes of his fans. But what happens when your fans are nearly sick of you not winning the big one? What happens when you have your best chance ever after years of failure and blow it? Okay, so far we've looked at a young prodigy who fell short and an established superstar who had to reinvent themselves. But this third example is a bit different. See, Kerrigan was an AIM star back in 1.6, an up-and-coming Danish fragger that seemed destined to stick around for a while. And he did. But by the time Counter-Strike Global Offensive rolled around, Kerrigan was pretty sure that he wanted to be an in-game leader. He hadn't won a ton of championships like Faker, and he wasn't a young gun trying to prove himself like Punk. Kerrigan was a seasoned, experienced player, and his reinvention as an IGL brought serious results.
Given any kind of players around him, he would almost immediately figure out how to use them and how to play the best Counter-Strike. I think it's one of the reasons why he's regarded as one of the greatest IGLs out there.
Kerrigan was a part of the TSM roster that became Astralis, and his IGL instincts were part of the team's hot start. But that momentum slowed over time, and the phenomenon became associated with Kerrigan. The idea that his leadership would bring quick results, but that they would fade over time and he would eventually need to be replaced. In the case of Astralis, they hit their stride after swapping Kerrigan for Glaive, a Danish IGL who learned from some of his scene's most prominent leaders. In response, Kerrigan went international, taking the reins of FaZe Clan and building what many called a super team.
FaZe came with an incredibly good offer, saying you can build your own team here. There's only one player we want to be in the lab in the future, and that is Rain. So we want to build this team around you and Rain.
But he was still missing one thing, a major win. There were rough patches and near misses, but eventually the FaZe roster did get to a Majors Grand Finals with Kerrigan at the helm. The only problem was that the team across from them wasn't who they expected to see. And with Cloud9 on home turf, the crowd surged in support as FaZe and Kerrigan tried desperately to close out overtime on Inferno.
He does have a smoke throw to play with. He can delay them. If he can occupy their attention long enough, his teammates can make the play. Just by staying there, he's a threat! Oh my goodness, Skadoodle does it with automatic! My God!
Do you know what that noise means, Dan? It means it's match point Cloud9 again. He'll re-aggress. Down goes one of Spicer. Guardian and the Rain remain. Automatic pushing through. It's Guardian versus 2.
Can he do it again? He's been in this position before to win FaZe around a very important, very crucial one. Can he deny Cloud9? We saw it from this position before. He cannot miss a single shot. Guardian waits patiently as Cloud9 sets the push up. Oh, it's happened! They made it work! Cloud9 are your E-League Major champions!
Against all odds, the home crowd got what they wanted and Kerrigan didn't.
I just need that major just to make my legacy justified.
It wasn't an immediate end for Kerrigan. The major happened in January and FaZe kept him on for the rest of that year before benching him in December. It was just more ammunition for those who claimed that Kerrigan was destined to be replaced. his teams always left him behind, and in the case of Astralis had gone on to define an entire era of CS without him. But Kerrigan got the last laugh, and he didn't do it by reinventing himself like Faker. He just didn't give up.
Saved all the motivation I have there, like, okay, whenever I get a team, I'm gonna show the world I'm not done.
Kerrigan moved to mousesports before returning to FaZe in early 2021. And 4 years after the most crushing loss in CSGO history, Kerrigan did what many thought he'd never accomplish. He won the major, becoming the oldest player ever to do so.
2 frags away! One more! They have done it!
That loss in Boston changed Kerrigan. It made him hungrier than ever.
32 years old, still grinding away at the game you love, but this one eluded you time and time again. How does that feel in your hands?
To be honest, never back down. Doesn't matter how hard life hits you. I've been benched a few times, came back.
And had he believed his critics, he might not have. Listen, we talk a lot about winning on this channel, but in my opinion, nothing can quite teach you about a player like the way they hold an L. Winning is the goal, but losses change people. We love to see our favorites get the W, sure, but how much would that W mean without everything that came before it? When a player is humbled, when they're fighting for more than just a prize, we see another side of them, a side that we didn't always expect to see. Of course, you'll remember the wins, and I expect nothing less. But if you really want to learn, don't forget the losses either. Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, hit the sub button and ring the notification bell. For unique bite-sized videos you won't find anywhere else, hit us up on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.